Welcome to the Podunk Polymath, a podcast dedicated to the sentiments of a secular, sarcastic, screwed-up Southern SJW and skeptic. I'm your host, Chris. Come on in. This is episode 70 of the Podunk Polymath Podcast. Hope you all had a great week. And half the week, I'm a little pissed. Actually, I'd already recorded a pre-ramble, but it got lost. So I'm not going to do a whole lot again. I think I said a whole bunch in the other one that I probably won't on this one, but frankly, I don't feel like saying it all again. So I will say briefly on the pre-ramble that I wanted to go ahead and boost a couple of conferences that I'll be going to. One is NaNoCon, which is March 17th, of course. Some of the speakers that I saw on there are Marissa Richmond, of course, Mandisa Thomas as usual, Daryl Ray, Kelly Helton, Fernando Alcantar, a couple others. I'll be on a podcast panel as I have been as like it was last year. So come on down and check that out. It's $15, I believe, up until the end of February, and then it's $20 up until the time of the conference itself. It's on St. Patty's Day, like I said, which is a Saturday, and it is actually at Glencliff High School, which I think it was the first one was at. Last year it was at a church, and I don't remember the name of it. So anyway, I'll be there along with a lot of cool people. Trav, I forgot to mention Trav will be there as well, giving a speech on activist burnout. So that'll be cool. Be able to get with them again. And of course, several other friends I'm sure will be there to hang out and chat. I will also be going to another conference called Secular Social Justice. That's April 7th, and it is in Washington, D.C. at All Souls Church. And that's going to be a bit of a trip, obviously. I haven't been in D.C. since I was a kid. Well, teenager, I guess you could say. But this is also a one-day event. A couple of people that will be speaking there are Ashton Woods, Candace Gorham. Oh, she wrote the book. I'll definitely checking her out. Diane Burkholder, Gori, mispronouncing Kunasaran, Hari Zayed, probably butchering these names. Yuam Navarro Rivera, Nazgal Ganush. Wow, I'm really fucking these up. Rajani Gudavility, Victoria Rodriguez Rolanan, and I know Alex Jules will be there, but not to speak. He's going to be taking pictures, apparently. And a couple other, Steve Shives is going to be there, and he has promised to drop kick me, so that should be interesting. And I believe Stephanie Zvon is going to be there, Josiah Manning, which will be basically I'll round out the people I haven't met in the old SJW, evil SJW Outrage Brigade community. Except, of course, for Dan Errol, who, of course, is on the left coast. And I don't know that I'll ever see him, except maybe if he deigns to come down south, which I wouldn't advise anybody to do unless you absolutely have to. So anyway, like I said, this one is $15, I believe. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure this one is $15. And that's actually pretty good for this sort of thing, so I would definitely, if you're in the area or if you're able to get to it, to come check it out, because it looks like something that's going to be really worth it, jam-packed with good speakers. So I would definitely encourage you to check it out. And maybe if you need a ride and are in my general vicinity, we could see our way clear to let you hitch a ride. So if that's the case, then let me know, and we will try to get you. Of course, within the general area. I'm not talking about fucking, forever away, but I'm in Nashville, so that's not bad. So, $25, I'm sorry, not $15. And if you want lunch, it's $10, but I don't see the point in that. Anyway, alright, so on the pre-ramble this week, I'm going to be talking to Ingrid from Chicago about her battles with homelessness and being trans and homeless, which adds another layer of difficulty, and that's putting it mildly. We talk about how she became homeless, her battles with homelessness, kind of the things she's had to go through because of it, and the fact that she may be homeless again fairly soon. So it's a difficult conversation, I think, but it's still one that we need to have more often, because I don't think homelessness gets the amount of play it should, because people don't want to talk about it, and they're embarrassed to do so because I guess they're afraid that they're going to be someday. And trust me, it's easy to become homeless, especially because nobody has any savings anymore. So even though it's difficult, we need to talk about it. That's all I'm saying. So I hope y'all learned something from it. I know sure as fuck I did. So stay tuned.
Welcome to Secular Soup. I'm Amy with a Y.
And I'm Amy with an I.
And we're just two blueberries floating in a bowl of tomato soup. Stay tuned for real talk about atheism, feminism, politics, parenting, and whatever the fuck else we want to talk about, because this is our show. And get ready for a whole lot of motherfucking profanity. Buckle up, bitches. It's time to have some soup. I would tell them they can find us wherever podcasts are, but they're listening to this right now. So if you're that stupid that you're listening to this show and you don't know where to listen,
if we have to tell you how to find podcasts,
then you're hopeless.
I'm Jenica.
And I'm Patrick of Real Life Beyond Faith.
And we are a formerly Christian,
currently atheist couple
who take a deep dive into the experience of life after deconversion.
Join us weekly as we talk about topics relating to the journey out of religion.
And interview guests who have their own unique stories to tell.
Look for us on Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, Stitcher,
and anywhere else you can find your favorite podcasts.
Welcome to another edition of Palaver here in the Podunk Polymath Podcast. This week I have somebody with me that I have as a Facebook friend, and I did a call out for a certain subject, which I shall mention. Welcome with me, Ingrid, I'm sorry, from Chicago. How's it going, Ingrid?
Pretty good. This will be an interesting interview.
Yeah. So I put out, as I said, a call for some. Want to talk about the newer term seems to be unhoused. I want to say that, but most people know it as homelessness. So I think for clarity's sake, we'll say homelessness, just because most people are familiar with that. But I also want to put that out there that unhoused is catching on as a term. So I just want to be sensitive to that. So you came forward and said you would be willing to speak about your experiences as with homelessness. So basically, I'm just going to let you tell your story. So wherever you want to start, wherever you think is important.
Okay. The big catalyst to being homeless was I came out as trans, which the people I was living with said it would be okay to stay with them, but I didn't feel safe there. So in one day, I went from being a dude in a house to a homeless trans woman. And what happened then is I started drifting from friend's house to friend's house, kind of spending nights and doing small chores and trying to figure out how to repay people. From there, we moved into a shelter, and there I was split off from the other person I was with, and they put me into a special independent room because I was trans and they didn't want to house me with the normal population.
So that sounds pretty rough. I mean, it's bad enough. I mean, when you come out as trans, that people are not accepting of that, and you're, driven out like you're just not a person. And then on top of that, you become homeless. I mean, that's kind of a double whammy there. So what happened when you got to the shelter? What kind of transpired from there?
From the shelter, I had to do at least 20 hours of volunteer work a week and file 10 job applications a week. But because people knew where the shelter was, and it was a town of about 15,000 people, no one at the shelter would get a job because they didn't want to employ homeless people. And due to the proximity and lack of places to volunteer, I actually ended up working at the Salvation Army. And anytime anyone who was like a supervisor came around, I was shuffled out, so they didn't know there was a trans person working there because I would have been kicked out.
Yeah, we probably should go ahead. And anybody who doesn't know, which I'm sure everybody I know, is Salvation Army is anti-LGBT, and you should never give anything to them. So.
Yeah, I was visibly trans at that point, so it was not an easy sell.
Yeah, I'm sorry. God, I can't even imagine working for an institution that basically thinks your right to exist isn't a thing, that you don't have a right to, or that it's not a thing, or whatever. That's pretty fucked.
Yeah, but
I mean, I guess
do that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say you gotta do what you gotta do. I guess. I mean.
Yeah, it was that, or get kicked out, or if I wasn't doing all that volunteer and job application work, I'd be paying $150 a month to stay at the homeless shelter.
What? You'd have to pay to stay at the homeless shelter.
Yeah, a lot of homeless shelters have a certain free period, but then after that period expires, they expect you to pay anywhere from $150 to $350 a month.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so I was kind of like, you want me to pay $150 a month? Well, that's not something I can do because I'm homeless.
Yeah, you wouldn't be there in the first fucking place if you had any fucking money. I mean, it kind of defeats the whole purpose. Was this in Chicago where this happened?
Oh, no, not in Chicago. Chicago is kind of where I came after everything fell apart and got back together again.
Okay.
I was actually in the middle of Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Michigan's kind of... a lot of Michigan's red. I'll just say that.
Yeah. I was in the middle of Traverse City. So it was not a progressive town, not a great town, but everyone there was struggling to do what they could.
Yeah.
Ironically, the only people at the shelter who had jobs were the immigrants because they didn't have paperwork or legal residency. They could work on the farms.
Huh. Oh, boy. So, did you have any problems working for the Salvation Army other than the part where they shuffled you off? I mean, did you have any comments or anything put your way?
More than a few times, they would just say, we're not supposed to let you work here, but we know you're with the homeless shelter, so we can let you do things, but you're never going to do anything in the front of the shop. You're not going to handle any money, and you have to be able to leave on a moment's notice.
Jesus Christ. Now, I want to remind everybody the Salvation Army is supposed to be a Christian organization. Okay. So.
Yeah, but I wasn't Christian and I wasn't cisgendered, so they just kind of shuffled me away.
Yeah. Okay, the whole Christian ethos, you're supposed to help people and help the homeless and whatever. It's, at least in that case, is bullshit. But, I don't want to speak for the entirety of Christianity, but in this particular instance, they don't want to seem to be too quote unquote Christian. So how long were you at the shelter? Well, first of all, how long were you working at the Salvation Army?
About 3.5 months.
Well, that's it. Okay. What kind of precipitated you? Did you get fired? Did you quit? Or did your circumstances change?
Well, it was all volunteer work, so I didn't get paid or anything.
Oh, shit.
But after the first 3 months in the shelter, they had the addition of, yes, I would have to pay $150 in rent a month. And because I didn't have, a job, I couldn't do that.
So what happened then?
Well, I moved out with a couple who was supposed to be sympathetic. But after a few days of them, they expected me to be the special unicorn in their threesome.
Oh, boy. Okay, yeah.
And after a couple of days of them not understanding me and not understanding the trans process and not understanding how I changed my name, they kicked me out. They gave me 20 minutes to stuff everything I could have into a bag and said to go.
Oh, Lord. People are wonderful, let me tell you.
Okay.
So you got kicked out in 20 minutes, basically. How long were you there again? A couple of days?
3 days.
3 days? Yeah. That's disgusting to me. I mean, I don't know. Oh, God. I don't even know what to say. I mean, helping somebody out from a homeless shelter just to satisfy your sexual desires, and then when they don't do what you want them to, you kick them out. I mean, that's literally like a sex slave to me.
Yep, I reported them to the police, and the police basically told them not to do it again and took back the rest of my stuff, which was just about 2 duffel bags full of clothing. And I kind of drifted around Traverse City for a few days. Went to the Detroit area on a hunch from a friend, and there was some really unpleasant stuff there that I don't really feel would be the best thing to cover in this podcast.
Okay, fair enough.
But while I was there, the Muslim and Sikh population was very nice and kind, because you could always go there and you could get, they'd have fried chicken nights and feed the homeless nights, and they wouldn't even preach at us, which was nice.
That's nice.
Yeah. Eventually, I gathered enough money and effort that I moved back to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and lived with my family. But the entire time I got homeless, I was really struggling to pull things together and get back to a place where I felt stable. And I also couldn't get a job because people knew I was homeless. I was in the underground economy.
The underground economy.
Yeah, lots of prostitution, sex parlors, erotic video stuff.
Oh, okay. I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's kind of backtrack a little bit to the situation that led you to this point. You said you were kicked out of your house. Is that right?
For the most part, yes. They said they'd be understanding, but they were all very hard right-wing people who were always watching Fox News and reading the Drudge Report and complaining about anything mildly left-wing. So,
Oh, Lord. I mean, do you mind telling how old you were at the time? If you don't, that's fine.
I just kind of remember. I was 24.
And were you just now coming out as trans, or was this an ongoing process? Well, I mean, obviously we know that being trans, you're born that way, but I meant as far as you coming out as trans.
Yeah, I was living with my fiance at the time, and I had talked with her about it, and she seemed to be okay with it until it actually happened, which basically involved her screaming that she would always have a boyfriend and I couldn't be her girlfriend, and there would have to be changes, which was not exactly what I wanted to hear.
So this came about when you were seeing somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. Did they have any clue at the time? Did you have any clue, I guess? I mean, you did, obviously. But I mean, when you were in this relationship with this person, did you start out, I mean, I'm sure you didn't start out with the intention of doing that.
No, I didn't have the intention. I actually had the time and the energy to explore it. And I explored it with her, and she said she was understanding, and then it actually happened, and she wasn't very understanding.
Okay, I understand. So at that time, you didn't have a steady job or anything like that? I mean, what was your financial circumstances?
I did not have a steady job. I didn't have an income. I was a college student struggling to make college work.
Okay. That makes sense.
So I was kind of a broke community college student who was suddenly homeless.
Okay, that's what I was trying to drill down a little bit, because I want to know what your situation is when you. I just kind of as an aside, from what I've heard, I mean, it's very easy to become homeless. I mean, it's not just this whole idea that it's just poor people or people who don't want to work or disabled people. Even though a lot of homeless people are mentally ill or veterans and such. I mean, some of it's just people. Especially nowadays, so many people living paycheck to paycheck. It only takes one thing, one disaster, or something to just, you get evicted. Next thing you know, you're evicted and you're on the streets, so.
Yeah, I had met plenty of people like that at the shelter. There were the immigrants who would follow the harvest season and live in homeless shelters. There was more than one family who had a house fire and couldn't get housing because they didn't have the back money to either start renting or buy a new place. And there were a few people who came in from other states because most shelters are full or won't take children.
They won't take children? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, they like to separate men and women, and they don't like having children on the men's side, so if there's not enough room or if it's a father with children, they'll have to break up the family. But that's just from what I heard. It might not be every shelter everywhere.
Well, I'm sure there's variation, but I think I have heard before that children are generally not allowed in shelters, I think, from what I've heard. Which begs the question, what are you supposed to do if you have kids? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, this shelter was special because it had a children's wing, which was great. Yeah, I hate the fact that it had to be special.
I mean, I can understand to some extent, I guess, but I don't know. At the same time, it just seems a little bit silly to me. I mean, there ought to be a way to keep families together or something. I don't know. So, all right. So let's kind of go back here to where we were. So you were kind of wandering the streets or whatever, and you said the Sikh community and the Muslim community were helping you out. Is that right? With food and such.
Yeah, their temples and places of worship usually had fish fries and chicken fries where they would just, hey, open meals for anyone in the area. So you could usually go there and they would have warming shelters, all kinds of nice stuff. And they never preached at me or told me to change religions, which was really nice. Because usually when you go to one of the Christian establishments, you get a speech, then your meal.
I know, yeah. Which is ironic, because they're always saying Muslims are, the evil, greatest evil in the world or whatever. But they're the ones that are actually helping people out, seems like.
Yeah, and the irony was never lost on me. It was kind of like, okay. The Salvation Army refused to let me be exposed to people, but the Sikhs were just like, have some food, have some shelter, be alive. I was like, okay, I get you.
Yes, definitely. So during this whole time, what kind of feelings were you having? What was going through your head? I mean, obviously you're probably depressed, anxiety. What was going through your mind?
Anger and isolation in almost equal parts for the most of the time. The homeless shelter was located on the far edge of the city, past the residential areas and in kind of the rundown strip mall area. So they really tried to keep us away from where the general public was. And even when I took the bus somewhere, the bus ran away from the city for half an hour first, then came back around, and then it would transfer about 300 feet from the homeless shelter to the next bus, and then you could go from there. So it was very inconvenient to be homeless above everything else.
Yeah, I can imagine so. I mean, shit. Especially public transportation is shit, which is generally the case in smaller places.
Yeah, the buses ran till 8:30 at night, which was just not enough time to be a college student or to have a job that was second or third shift.
Yeah, they make it very difficult on poor people and homeless people to make a living. What do they say? It's expensive being poor. Because you have to figure out ways to get to a job, and usually the ways to get there, you're spending half your money just to get there in the first place. So.
Yeah, that was always the struggle. Even when I was biking places, the town was not built for things like bikes or sidewalks. So you were always basically playing with traffic, even if you didn't want to be.
Yeah, that's always fun.
I did get hit by a truck once, but that was incidental.
Well, it's still not good, regardless of regardless of the level of it. It's still, you got hit by a fucking truck, I mean, it's a good story to tell, I guess, as long as you didn't break anything, Yeah. Hey, I got hit by a truck and I survived. Great.
Yeah.
So, how long were you in this situation where you, was it Traverse City? I think you said. Oh, no, you went up to Detroit. That's right. Detroit area.
I hovered between Detroit and Flint. It was easy to sleep on the buses, and they weren't always too picky about who was on them or not, because they knew that the entire area was just kind of,
yeah,
at best.
If anybody pays any attention to Detroit, downtown, it's like a fucking wasteland pretty much anymore.
Yeah. And
Detroit.
I was in... Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to... I think Detroit, didn't they declare bankruptcy or some shit not too long ago? So, yeah, it's pretty...
Yeah. There's lots of political football with the budget there, so...
Yeah, and of course we all know about Flint and the water crisis, so we...
Yeah, I lived in Flint before the water crisis happened, and even downtown there'd sometimes be dirt roads just leading right to these nice new asphalt roads, so we could kind of see a disaster coming.
Yeah, a lot of this plays in gutting government, and so therefore we have incompetent people, coming in and not really giving a shit about the people they're supposed to be serving. Of course, that's a problem all through this country. They're serving the big donors types and ultra wealthy, and just the regular person go fuck themselves. Pretty much, you're on your own. It seems like. So I think that plays a big role in a lot of this stuff. But so one of the things that I interested, but just kind of disgusted about is that they make you pay like a rent at a homeless shelter after like 3 months, which I just can't even imagine that. I mean, that seems like one of those things that should be funded, government funded or something.
Yeah, well, they did have government funding, but it didn't cover everything. So a lot of things like the food and the cooking was all done by donors. And the homeless shelter, people staying there, we did the cleaning. So it was actually part of our chores that we would do at least 1 or 2 items of cleaning a week, and we do it the entire week, like mopping the floors or cleaning our areas or scrubbing down things.
I mean, that makes sense, I guess. But I think it goes along with this whole idea that if being poor is like your fault, it's because you're lazy or, something like that. We kind of have this attitude towards poverty. And most, people in this country have this attitude towards poverty. Like they don't want to notice, they don't want to see it. They don't want to know anything about it. Those people are lazy. They are not part of us,
Yeah, and that's really what the feeling was at the shelter, too. It's like, yeah, they just kind of put us out here on the edge of town, so no one has to see us.
Yeah, and that's, to me, is just really disgusting, and it's just depressing because, I mean, people, like I said, don't realize how close they are to being homeless, how little it takes. Most people don't even, I think most people don't have more than $1,000 in their savings or something like that. So if something catastrophic does happen and you don't have any backing, you don't have any family or anything that can help you out, you're fucked. You're on the streets, and then you end up in an endless cycle of kind of self-doubt and guilt, and you can't get a job because there's no jobs. And if you get a job, it doesn't pay shit. And the cost of living is like skyrocketed. So, I mean, what do? You can't get ahead.
Yeah. And that was why some of the people were just following the farms, just like, okay, it's harvest season. I'll move to this area and help with the harvest. And I'll move to the next town, help with the harvest there. And, eventually I might have some money. Yeah.
So what did you do once you got in the Detroit area? You said you were getting food from the Sikhs and the Muslims, but were you able to find work at all?
Nothing over the table.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of it was just kind of, well, I'll do an odd job here. I'll help with stuff like landscaping, home and garden. Here's what's up with your plumbing. I'll take a look at this. We'll help you with this. We'll help clean the house. Just all those little chores that aren't really jobs. And then we take our earnings and we go and we get hit like the discount food store and get a loaf of bread for 25 cents, which was always interesting.
Why so?
Because they were technically 2 or 3 days past expiration, but they didn't have any signs of mold yet. So it'd be this race to actually eat it all, but 25 cents for a loaf of white and 35 cents for a loaf of wheat is a pretty good deal.
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't argue with that. And I would probably, a lot of people do that anyway. I mean, if you're going to go through it, and especially if that's your main source of nutrition,
Yeah, it was discount food or dumpster diving. And after a while, they started to douse the dumpsters in bleach or lock them up. So,
wait, what? Douse them in bleach?
Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, when some companies or corporations are throwing out their unsold or unworthy food for the night, they either douse them in bleach or lock them up so no one else can eat them.
What the actual fuck is wrong with people?
Capitalism, I guess.
No, there's no guess to it. You got the answer. Fucking rampant consumerist capitalism, corporatocracy. Yeah. Oh, that's fucking horrible. And I work at a grocery store for my second job, and yeah, if we have any food left at the end of the night, we're not even supposed to look at it. You can't even. It's perfectly good, but they just throw it away but we can't eat it. I'm like, that's ridiculous. No, sometimes you do anyway, But I mean, as a general policy, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, and that's why they elevated to bleaching is because people would dumpster dive, and they didn't want people dumpster diving. It's like, well, it's food. You're not selling it. Please don't ruin it for the rest of us. But
Well, I know that some places give some of their food away to shelters sometimes, but it's a fucking minute amount compared to what they actually throw away. You know, it's like they're trying to act as they're like giving the impression that they actually give a shit, but it's just PR. They don't really care. You know, they think by giving a little bit, they can like brush off the responsibility, even though it's like I said, a tiny fraction. I mean, of what they could be giving.
Yeah, and what eventually happened is after people kept, dumpster diving, a company came in and they would go from location to location and take the food and resell it to shelters.
What?
No, yeah, they would take the food that was considered edible still, and they would either resell it to shelters or ship it to places that could use it, which was great because we know the trucks. I can't remember the name of them, but it's like, oh, never mind. They're there now. We don't bother now.
But they're reselling it. Food that's been thrown away.
Not thrown away yet. It was like at the end of the day, all the hot dishes that haven't been sold or the buns that aren't stale but need to be replaced type stuff. And they would take them to shelters and other places and either donate it or move it for pennies on the dollar.
God damn. Just no shame. I mean,
hey,
selling
it's capitalism.
I know. It's just capitalism sucks, man. Don't get me started. That's a whole nother thing right there. That's a whole nother rant I could go on. But, whew. Did you feel like you were like worthless during this time? I mean, because I've heard people say that like it's hard to keep a sense of self-worth when people are treating you like shit the entire time, I guess. Like you're unwanted or like outcasts.
Yeah, and it's still something I kind of struggle with because it was just this constant thrashing to feel like I even had a purpose. Because people would basically avoid you. And the only friends I could make were other people in the shelter because I didn't have any, job or workplace, and the college was on the exact opposite side of the city, so I couldn't keep going to college. So it just became this thing of, well, I'm going to survive because fuck them.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it, kind of a big fuck you, I am somebody, regardless of what you think. I mean, I imagine though it wears you down trying to maintain that level of emotional, anger. I mean, after a while, you just kind of get worn out emotionally. Do you numb out? Just kind of like go zombie or something?
Yeah, pretty much. For a while, I was just running on autopilot, and although I was homeless in the past, I'll probably be homeless again soon.
Oh yes, I forgot you told me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm currently in Chicago, and I don't have the mental stability to hold a job, so I've kind of been working with a case manager and living with friends or people who are friends of my friends, and just kind of jumping around from place to place for about the past year.
That's got to be stressful as hell when you don't know where you're going to sleep the next night.
Yeah, thankfully at this point I've been at this place for about 4 months, and I have another month or two before I have to get out. So hopefully I'll find a new place to plop down for the nights.
Well, let's kind of go back to how you got to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's kind of backtrack a little bit because I wanted to kind of get to where you are now. So where did you go from? How did you get to Chicago? Was Detroit then Chicago, or was there intermediate places in between or whatever?
There was a lot of in between. I managed to get enough money from a helpful friend who bought me one of those long Greyhound tickets to get me back to Green Bay.
Oh, that's right. Green Bay. That's your. Okay.
Yeah, it's not a great place.
But there's the Packers.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
That whole place, it's like you can't even get tickets for that. It's like they pass down those seat passes generation to generation.
They actually do.
That's crazy. Anyway, so go ahead.
But yeah, I moved back to Green Bay and lived with my grandparents. They weren't understanding. They tried for the most part. And I eventually landed a job cleaning rooms there, hotel work, actually, which is great because I started to have a resume, and after a few months of working in the hotel, I managed to upgrade to an AT&T call center.
Oh, okay.
I mean, well, upgrade is kind of a term, but
Yeah.
I worked there for about, I can't even remember how long anymore. So what happened is they wanted us to sell things like home phone lines and TVs service to people who called in to pay their bills. And after, good.
Yeah, no, I can't do that kind of thing. I'm a bad salesperson.
I couldn't either. But our boss shielded us from most of the corporate complaints, but he got outed at one point. And then our entire division got gutted because we weren't making our sales goals. So I was back out without a job again.
Lord have mercy. And so you were staying with your grandparents at this time?
Yep. And the basement, I had my own little fridge, but there was lots of clashing of horns with them.
Why? Because of you were trans?
They are Fox News Republican NRA member type people.
Oh, God.
And, like, and the refrain was, well, why don't you just go out there and get a new job? Pound the pavement. Give them your resumes. Get a new job. It shouldn't take more than a day. It's like, that's... Whew. You haven't looked for jobs since the 50s.
Exactly. How the fuck do you know? So how long was it before, I guess, they kicked you out eventually? Or did you leave?
They gave me about 5 months, and I managed to land a job in Stevens Point eventually, which is another small town in Wisconsin, working for American International Group.
AIG?
Yep.
Okay.
I worked the phones. Sorry?
No, I was about to ask you what you did, yeah.
For the first 3 months, I worked the phones in their travel insurance department. Basically, if something went wrong on your trip, you called us and we tried to get your money back for it if you had insurance. And after that, they promoted me to being an underwriter. Well, an assistant underwriter.
That sounds promising.
Yeah, it was okay, but the entire staff atmosphere wasn't very good for us. There was another trans person there, and after we were open about being trans or being queer, it went downhill quickly to the point where I was having night terrors.
Oh, shit.
And no one ever understood why I was always so tight about money or why I didn't have kids or a husband. So I just felt really out of place.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about that. How is it? I mean, I can't even talk. We haven't really talked about the transit. I mean, that issue, along with your kind of inability to really keep a job or being homeless. I mean, that on top of that has got to be. I mean, how do people react to you? I mean, were you presenting or were you just?
When I was homeless, being trans wasn't a big issue, honestly. It was because the other people were like, yeah, we got much bigger things to worry about for the most part. And anyone who did care, I'd usually have a sympathetic ear who'd tell me to avoid them. The worst part was explaining it to any doctors I had to see or shelter staff or telling people, yes, this is my legal name, but I don't go by that. It's only when you get back into the working world it gets rough.
Yeah, because I imagine that. So, I know that a lot of places aren't, as tolerant as others, I guess you could say. And I'm sure they give you the side eye and harass you even like passive. Well, maybe not so passive aggressively, just aggressively. Was that the situation there? I mean, what kind of environment was that?
It was okay until they realized I was trans, and then it got awkward. Just like people kind of side-eyeing me when I went to the bathroom or not communicating with me properly or just all those little things.
It's just, microaggressions, then, I guess.
Yeah, and eventually it kind of had a full-scale breakdown from that because it just wasn't tolerable.
So you had to leave your job because of that?
Yeah, I had a massive breakdown, and during that I somehow broke my shoulder.
Somehow?
Yeah, What I'm told is I kind of had a freak out and had a night terror type thing. I slammed into a door frame, but I don't remember any of this.
Holy shit. Wow. Okay, so you broke your shoulder. Okay. And did this happen while you were still employed?
Yep.
Okay, so were you able to get that worked out, looked at or whatever?
Yeah, but I couldn't afford the surgery because it wasn't a work-related injury, so they didn't cover it.
That's what I thought. Okay. So what happened? You just end up just letting it heal badly or something? Or?
Well, actually, it couldn't heal properly because what happened is I had broken a chunk off my humerus.
Ugh, okay.
And it took the tendons with it and embedded somewhere in my upper back.
Wow, okay.
And I couldn't work and I couldn't hold down a job like that, so I moved in with a friend in Chicago.
All right, so this is where, okay, we're in Chicago
now. It's kind of a circuitous path, but...
Okay, so now, do you have use of that shoulder at all?
Yeah, I got on my friend's insurance, which was pretty good. I managed to beg and do some kind of odd jobs on computers that I could still do, and eventually got my 401k payment, and I managed to have my shoulder surgically fixed. It mostly hurts now.
Good. Well, at least you got that much. I mean, because it really limits your fucking employability, I guess you could say, if you can't properly move one of your arms, I guess. Because I imagine if you fuck up your shoulder, and that means you can't move your arm very well either.
Yeah, I couldn't move my upper arm at all. I only had control over my lower arm and hand.
Oh, Jesus.
So
yeah, that's sad.
Times where I would just kind of pick up my wrist and move my arm around to do things, which looked really creepy from the outside, I've been told.
Yeah, and that's when I tell them to go fuck themselves, because let's break your fucking shoulder, see how you like it. But
that was kind of my feeling. Just kind of like, okay, here we go. Zip, zip, zip. Okay. Yeah, well, I can't move it, so if you want to move it, you can.
Yeah, fuckers. Anyway, people are so fucking judgmental. Anyway, so you made it to Chicago. Okay, so you're staying. Is that the same person you're with now?
No, I was with them for about a year until late 2016, and there were we weren't very compatible roommates, is the best way to put it. And I eventually had to move out, and I couldn't find a new place to stay.
So did you end up on the streets again?
I ended up in an inpatient ward, actually.
An inpatient ward, okay.
Yeah, psych ward.
Oh, well, shit, that would... I think anybody would probably, and I mean, that would definitely affect your mental health. I don't care who the fuck you are. I don't care how strong you are.
Yeah, and from there, I kind of got bounced around a bit. I was staying with friends' housing. There were places where I could stay and pay rent, or people who could take me in for a month or two. And then I started renting from Sarah for $250 a month. And I was mostly able to make that through begging for friends' help.
Okay. So you weren't employed at this time?
No. Ever since the stuff with AIG, going outside where people can see me has been really hard because it was all very, very stressful. So we've been trying to get me back up into fighting shape, but
it's difficult.
Yeah, I'm working with a case management team here, and I'm getting better. I can sometimes go out during the day, but it's not easy.
I can imagine.
Yeah, the entire stress of being homeless was a huge setback, and everything that happened afterward has been kind of this going of, well, it's not as bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's like some people mention some things that are mildly inconvenienced about, and we would call them, first world problems or whatever. Because when you're homeless or unhoused or whatever, I mean, that's almost being like third world or something, because you're basically just living to survive. Although there are people who are in housing of some sort and they're still trying to struggle to survive. So.
Yeah, and when you're on the street, people just kind of look through you.
Yeah, that's another issue. I have noticed, because I work downtown in Nashville, and homeless people tend to hang around the bus station down there. And I've noticed that, and of course, cops are crawling all around there, of course, because what's more important than making sure homeless people are kept in their place? So, you know.
When I go into downtown Chicago, there's 3 or 4 homeless people on every street side, on every block.
Wow. Okay.
And people just don't look at them anymore.
It's easy to become, well, it's like I said, I mean, poverty, people don't want to pay attention, don't want to look at them, because they don't want to be reminded that they exist. Because if they're reminded they exist, then they're reminded that you ain't doing shit to help them, or maybe that could be them one day. They don't even want to think about it. Yeah, and that's kind of what it is that people don't get. That, you know, I was working a full-time job, putting in a good 60 hours a week, and then I had a breakdown, and I haven't been able to pick myself back up. And I'm still working on it, and it's not easy. With the added stress of being trans in a not trans-friendly world. Yeah, that's where Chicago's been the blessing, because you're like, oh, you're trans here. You're in the trans circle now, and there's lots of people here. I'm like, okay, that's good. Yeah, so there are good support groups there, then. Yeah, I've been mostly staying with trans-friendly people and far-left people. Well, yeah, that is one of the good things about living in a big city, I guess. Of course, one of the bad things is everything's so fucking expensive. Jesus Christ. Yeah. But there are some fun places, or places that are homeless-friendly, but they don't advertise it. Because I know there's at least one Starbucks in town that doesn't actually lock its front door at night, so the homeless people can come in and just kind of sleep in the foyer and use the couches, and they'll have an officer come around every morning to kind of shake them awake and get them out of there before people come in. Well, that's good. That's cool. I mean, that's another thing I wanted. Were you harassed a lot by the police when you were homeless? As a white woman, no. Oh, okay. That's probably the simplest way to put that. Oh, I absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I don't think it's any secret that people of color are harassed in the fucking way more than the white people, you know? Yeah, because I never had trouble with the police directly. It was anyone more than 15 feet away from me who had trouble with the police. Yeah. Because no matter where I was, they wouldn't really go after me. That's another thing. I mean, there's so many tangents I go. Just so much shit. But it's like it's not just one problem. Oh yeah, it's all interconnected. So many different ways. I mean, socioeconomic conditions, wealth inequality, racism, cost of living, gentrification, all that kind of good stuff. Mm-hmm. And those are the kind of topics I try to cover on the show. I've noticed. I think a lot of this stuff, I mean, yeah, you hear about it, and sometimes I think people don't take a deep dive in some of this stuff. And there are some shows that do, but overall, I don't think that gets enough attention. So, you know, I mean, I'm grateful for the 15 people who listen to me, you know, because I'm under no illusion that that I'm doing anything major, but I mean, hopefully it helps some people. But anyway, enough of that. So you're back in Chicago now, and you said you might be, or you are for sure that you're going to become homeless again soon. I'm working with my case management team and their housing specialist, but if there's one thing I've learned so far, it's to never plan for things to go right. So I'm kind of working on the backup plan of, okay, who can I stay with for how long, and where can I go, and what should I be doing, and if I have a breakdown, which hospital should I go to, and
all those fun things that people don't even think about thinking about.
It sounds like being homeless requires a lot of planning, is what it sounds like.
It does, and that's one of the stressful things is, once I'm sitting down in a house and I'm okay, it feels weird because I'm not furiously treading water.
But how long have you done that in one stretch?
Oh, God. Pretty much the entire time I was in Michigan. Just this sense of loss.
It does sound like you can't catch a break. And that's, I don't know. I mean, it can't be helpful. Your mental health cannot be, withstand that sort of thing. I mean, I know I myself have issues with anxiety and depression. I can't imagine how it exacerbates those issues when you're constantly worrying where you're going to sleep or where your next meal is coming from.
Yeah, and that's one of the other reasons we went to Chicago is because they have a very robust food stamp program. I know it sounds kind of weird, but...
No, I mean... But what do you mean by robust?
I don't have to be working. I don't have to be seeking work. And I don't have to have a residence for it. So now I can get like $150 a month for food.
Oh, that's fun. It's almost like you're a human being, and
Ugh, weird.
Like they don't automatically assume that you're lazy and aren't working, so that's why you don't deserve food or whatever.
Yeah, so that's been one thing that's been really, really nice is I have a food budget, and it's more food than I had before. So it's like, yay, I get to eat. Oh, that was really depressing.
I know, exactly. I mean, and you're right, it is depressing. And people should need to realize this shit. People need to understand that the fact that you have a fucking meal every day, food you can eat like every day, puts you in like rare company, not just for this country. I mean, not people in this country who can eat like, you sometimes if you're homeless, but just fucking in the world in general, because this fucking world is... Most of the people, I think, are below the poverty line, what we would consider the poverty line in the world. So you're in rare, you should be thankful for that. I mean...
I am. It's just kind of that moment going, well, I'm not completely on fire. It's like, well, that's good, but...
It's relative, I guess. I mean...
Yeah.
I would never fucking use some kind of relative privation argument on anybody, because whatever you feel, if you feel that way, then it's valid, Whatever you feel is valid.
There's no Olympics here. We don't see who's the most hurt by whatever. It's just kind of like, yeah, this sucks and it shouldn't suck like that.
Exactly. So to kind of bring it to where we are now. So currently you're living with this, who'd you say you were? I'm sorry.
A friend of a friend, Sarah.
Okay. And you're basically going to have to leave, is that right?
Yeah, her lease is up at the end of April.
Okay.
So I figure if I try to get out before April, I should be okay.
Do you have any prospects on that?
I'm working with a housing coordinator here, but without an income and without disability, which takes forever. No, not any good prospects, but hopefully we'll find something.
Okay. And how do you feel? How are you? Are you feeling hopeful, or just like, oh shit, not again? I mean, I can only imagine that if you go through this enough, you kind of toughen up a little bit at least.
Yeah. It's kind of like, okay, another tornado. Yeah, okay, I'm getting to the shelter. Let me finish my soda.
Yeah. So, but I can't. I mean, it's not like you don't have qualifications. It's not like you haven't had other jobs that were worth of, people hiring you for. It's just, I guess it's hard to find jobs nowadays, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm at the point where I'm kind of mentally unstable, so, going out in public is hard, so working from home isn't really effective in this economy. Because most people in my situation are like, well, you just drive for Uber. Okay.
I don't have a car, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, Uber can help you buy a car. I'm like, I don't want to drive for Uber till I'm 106.
Well, I mean, everybody's going to have to fucking work till they're 106.
I said work for Uber. I didn't say work.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, so if you were able to tell anybody anything about your experience and what you've learned from it, what would you say?
It sucks, and I hope it never happens to anyone else. If you really want to see how rough it would be, just lose everything and try to survive for a month in a homeless shelter, and you'll see how rough it can be. Because there's people who do the $20 challenge, but they already have a stove and seasoning and stuff like that. But it's come on, start from scratch.
I saw that there was something online about how it was an article I shared, I think, about how expensive it is to act because they tell you to go to the store and buy ingredients, make your own food. It's cheaper, but it's not really. You have to have the pots and the pans and the bowls and shit to make it. Then you have to have an oven to put it in. You have to have a stove.
And you have to have a way to move bulk food. Because when I had a bike, I can't go load up with 40 pounds of chicken just to get a bulk discount.
Yeah, so there's a lot of extra things that go in there that aren't related to just, it would be, I guess, if you already had that infrastructure, I guess you could call it, Yeah,
the utility value is amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, electricity. It takes electricity to make this stuff.
Yeah. Because I moved in here, and it's they have a working washer and dryer, and the microwave's up to spec, and the stove works, and this is really nice. It's amazing when you're so used to not having things, how nice it is to have the basic, what most people would consider the basic necessities, I guess. Yeah. I guess it makes you appreciate stuff more, I guess. But I would never want anybody to get to that point where they would take them that to appreciate something. To that level, Yeah, because there was one house the shower has water pressure. Yeah, okay. Come on. Jesus. We're supposed to be the richest country in the world, and we've got people living like this. It's unconscionable to me, but, that's America, I guess. Yep. Yeah. You're not Jeff Bezos, so you're kind of broke. Yeah, well, it's they always tell you, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and just like your grandparents, they go pound the pavement. You're just not trying hard enough, Well, my favorite thing is if you lay on your back and you try to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you literally can't. That's true, actually. That's a good analogy, yeah. So do you know of it, in general, national programs or something that, or, local programs that help homeless people that you could recommend maybe? Locally, I'm working with Trilogy. They're a case management solution. They're a nonprofit. They've been helping me through things like getting food stamps, getting a state ID, filing legal paperwork, trying to get stuff in order. They've taken a load off me where I'm at the point where I can kind of relax sometimes now, which is weird. And if you can find your local case management team or homeless assistant team, any of those people, they are wonderful and they work for scraps of what they can make somewhere else. So I appreciate all of them. I don't know if Chicago has one, but I just got involved here in Nashville with Atheist Alliance Helping the Homeless. Huh. And they do give drives, giveaways. They have a wish list, an Amazon wish list, where you can buy stuff to, wipes, or for women, there's feminine hygiene products, coats, gloves, stuff like that, that you can buy off the wish list, and they get it and give it to homeless people or whatever. There's several. I don't know if Chicago, I can't imagine they don't. I don't know. Yeah, well, in places like Chicago is probably already has like you said, a robust system anyway. I wouldn't call it robust. I would call it existing. Well, relatively. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, compared to the rest of America, as much as you can be in a capitalist fucking. Ugh. Anyway, don't get me started on that. But I would encourage if
if you want to look up and see your city has one. I know there's a couple of different ones. Maybe Chicago does. I just hadn't seen it yet. I just now got involved with it, so I don't know all the different chapters there are.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Chicago has one. It's just I went for things that were specialized right away.
Right, I understand, yeah. I mean, not everybody needs clothes. Maybe people have clothes, but they need food.
Mm-hmm.
That's what or whatever else. I mean, support, mental support. There's a lot of homeless people that have suffered from mental illness, of course, and they don't want to do anything with them. They end up in prison. I mean, or homeless or dead.
Yeah, because I know we have our lovely tent cities here in Chicago, so.
Yeah, and that's another one of those things, which I didn't really touch on, but some cities you can get arrested for feeding homeless people.
Yep. There's actually been a local story in Chicago where a guy who would hold movie nights for homeless people and shelter them for the night recently had the police tell him to stop because he didn't have the right zoning for it. So it's just kind of...
a lot of this is NIMBYism, not in my backyard. That's what it boils down to. I mean, people don't want to see them, They're fine with it as long as it's not them doing it,
Yeah, my first thought with that is, I wonder what would happen if they enforced those zoning regulations on everyone who was renting an apartment.
Yeah, or anything. Or Airbnb or whatever. There's plenty of those. I mean, shit. That's technically if you're renting a room or you're using your house as a hotel, they got to pay taxes, don't they? I mean,
Yeah, so it's just this good old selective enforcement where people can camp out for days on end to get the newest iPhone, but you can't camp out because you're homeless.
Oh my, yeah, don't get me started on that shit. As long as you're buying something in America, yeah, they're all good with you. Yeah, just keep buying shit, keep buying useless shit that'll go out of date in like a year, and go buy you some more shit.
That's why
American dream.
I was gonna say that's why hanging around without money is a crime, aka loitering.
Yeah, that's for shit. Oh boy, yeah, this is kind of this is a subject that really pisses me off, just because we can give breaks to the richest people, but we can't find any money to fucking help any of the disadvantaged.
Well, if we could just buy our own senators and rent ourselves a government.
Yeah, we don't have any good lobbyists apparently. So, and I also wanted to say a lot of the people who sit there and say they would love homeless people to have houses or, like temporary housing or shelters or whatever. A lot of them are quote unquote liberals, but it's like I said, as long as it's not near them, they're fine with it. But let it come anywhere near them, and all of a sudden they just can't handle it,
Yeah, that's why I always point out that when I was in homeless shelters, they were always on the edge of the city, like a mile or two from the